Welcome to another edition of Rust Rants. I'm John Rust, and I come on and go off about, well, whatever's honking me off today. Today is another edition of Feel Good Friday. And you know what makes me feel good? Finland! This country has given the world so many awesome things, like one of my favorite bands in the world, Nightwish, the greatest sniper in history, Simo Häyhä, who capped about 500 Russians during the Winter War, and one of my favorite Phoenix Coyotes from back in the day, Teppo Numminen. But there's another awesome thing that just came out of Finland, and that's SISU. I went and saw this movie yesterday, and man, oh man, did I enjoy the heck out of it. Honestly, it kind of harkens back to all those over-the-top 1980s action movies that back in the day I just consumed like they were Skittles. Now, the movie centers around a gold panner who's roaming around Lapland in 1944, minding his own business, wanting nothing to do with the war, and he finds this huge vein of gold. But as he's riding across the countryside with his haul, he runs into a platoon of German soldiers. Historical perspective here, the Germans and the Finns were actually allies fighting the Soviet Union from 1941 to 1944 in what was known as the Continuation War for Finland. But when the Finns surrendered to the Soviets told Finland to eject the Germans from their country and don't be nice about it. The Germans, however, well, they responded by razing several villages and towns and sowing all of Lapland with landmines. Well, the Germans learned that this gold panner, they happen to learn that he has a lot of gold on him, so they try to take it from him. Then they come to find out that the gold panner is actually a former Finnish commando who fought the Soviets during the Winter War, and carnage ensues. Now, along with some really good action scenes, the thing that I find very interesting about SISU is there really isn't much dialogue in this movie. The main character, he only has a grand total of 3 lines of dialogue in the entire movie. The rest of it is just his facial expressions, his body language, which is so effective that you always know what this guy is thinking and feeling without him ever having to utter a word. Okay, he does grunt and groan a lot because this guy gets so bleeped up during the course of this movie that he makes Bruce Willis from Die Hard look like he suffered a couple of paper cuts. Even the main German bad guy, while he does talk a bit throughout the movie, he also does a great job with his body language as well. And the scene where they're in the minefield, oh man, it takes me back to a comment I remember from General Norman Schwarzkopf, who commanded the coalition forces during Operation Desert Storm in 1991, where he asked a reporter if they've ever been in a minefield, and then he went on and said, "One mine. That's all it takes." That's intense. Yeah, that was that scene in a nutshell. Now, there are some leaps of logic in this movie, especially the scene that takes place in the lake. And there are parts of this movie where you really have to suspend your disbelief. But so what? I mean, that's the overall tone this movie was going for anyway. In fact, at some points, you begin to wonder if there's a supernatural aspect to the main character, given all the brutal incidents that he survives throughout this movie. Also, this movie, wait till you hear the budget for this movie. This movie only cost 6 million euros to make, which I think comes out to like 5 million and some change or something in US dollars. I don't know, I'm not an economist. But for a small amount of money, they put out a darn good movie. And this is something that Hollywood can't comprehend. They're stuck in this mindset that in order to have a super awesome movie, you have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on it and load it up with all kinds of CGI, which half the time looks like garbage. But for SISU, the simple approach worked the best. In fact, you look at movies like The Raid Redemption from Indonesia, RRR from India, which was a phenomenal movie, and now SISU. Production companies outside the United States, they get it. They don't give a hang about wokeness and identity politics and all that nonsense. They're not afraid to show a male character being masculine or hyper-masculine for this movie. They care about telling a good story with good characters, and in the case of SISU, a movie with bloody good action. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of Rants. Be sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe across all of KYCA's social media: Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Instagram, Twitter. Check us out at kyca.info. Be sure to smash the like button and leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say about this video. Till next time, I'm John Rust. Go see SISU, and I will see you soon.